Hi guys, I'm here today to begin the unit of credit. Okay, so there's some goals that we want to get out of this, and this is just part one of three. Um, but when you're done with the whole unit, we want you to understand the cost of credit cards. We want you to explain what influences a credit score and how the credit score is used, and we want you to understand the whole loan system. In our society, um, people take advantage of loans quite a bit. And early on in your life, in your 20s, you're going to have a variety of different types of loans. So before you get out there, we want you to know all about the whole system. And knowing about the system will save you thousands of dollars in your future. So these are the loans you're probably going to have. You're probably going to have a mortgage. Okay. If you don't know what that is yet, that's your loan for a house or a home. Um, You're also going to have a loan for a credit card. A lot of people don't see credit cards as a loan, but it is. It's a promise to pay the money back. Okay. You might have an automobile loan and you might have a college loan. Okay. The rest of this is what banks don't want you to know. Okay. So, like I said, we're going to break this down into three parts. We're going to cover the first part today, and that's credit cards. But then after that, we're going to talk about credit score. And then we're going to move forward into other types of loans in part three. So let's get into the credit cards. Okay, credit is a privilege of using someone else's money for a period of time. Okay, there's an agreement to get the money or goods now, and you're going to promise to pay it back in the future. So there's two parties involved. There's the debtor, the one who borrows the money, and then the creditor, the one who lends the money. Okay, creditors are going to trust the debtor to pay the money back. Okay, this system of loans and finance charges, which we'll learn about in a little bit, is used by consumers, businesses, and even our government. We've talked about in the past, and that is known as the national debt. Okay, some other key terms interest. So, with all loans, the creditor is going to charge money in the form of finance charges or interest. And so, usually, you're going to pay both of those things. Okay. The other thing to note is that with any type of loan, usually each month there's a minimum payment that must be paid. You have the option in many cases to pay more than that, but with loans and credit cards comes a monthly payment, and there's a minimum number that you have to pay every single month. Okay, so some credit card specific terms. Okay, so credit cards will have a maximum amount of money that you can put onto the card. Okay, and this maximum amount is compared to your balance. So if you pay down your balance, then obviously you're not as close to your credit limit. Okay, but if you're not paying that off and you keep spending, eventually the credit card is going to put a max on that, and you're going to hit your limit, and you won't be able to use the card until you start making some payments. Okay, payments are required once a month. It doesn't have to be paid in full, but know that whatever you don't pay in full is going to be charged interest on. And usually for credit cards, the interest is pretty significant. So something like 11%, 18%, we see sometimes even 29%. So be really careful with what the APR is that they're telling you when you're taking out the credit card, when you're looking at applying for one, and then also when you're keeping a balance and not paying off the amount, because that could be a significant amount of money every single month that gets added to your balance. Okay, so the credit card companies usually know that when they mail off their statement and you receive it, you might not be able to arrange payment that day. And so they give you what we call grace period, which is sometimes a week, sometimes 2 weeks, somewhere in between that, where they know that it's going to take you a while to arrange payment and then get it mailed to their location. So that's what we call a grace period. Now, for college loans, it's a little bit different. So this is a side tangent away from credit cards, but usually what they're doing is while you're in college, they're going to allow you to get a job, get yourself settled for a little bit, and then 6 months into graduating / getting a job, now they're going to start in with the payments. So they're going to give you that time, that grace period to figure things out, land a job, and then they're going to start sending you bills. Okay. The thing that you can do with many credit cards too is get a cash advance. Now, I don't personally suggest a cash advance. In some cases, your credit card companies are going to charge you a higher interest rate on the cash that you took out. But it is an option if in your life you don't have significant savings, something pops up where you need cash What they do usually is they mail you with your bill, like checks you could write out and then cash that out. And like I said, this is in their best interest because it's going to make your balance climb even higher. And like I said, in some cases, they can even charge you a higher rate of interest for the cash advance. Okay, so there's two different types of credit cards. You have credit cards that are single purpose cards. These are typically go along with like retail stores like Kohl's, like Nordstrom. Some gas stations will have just specific credit cards that you can only use at their locations and not to be used somewhere else. Okay. More commonly, we see multi purpose cards. These are cards that are generally accepted pretty much anywhere. So, Chipotle, um, Kohl's, you name it. If they accept credit cards, then then that's where those are accepted at those multi-purpose cards. Okay, there are some credit card concerns, and that is because of the convenience factor of just swiping and getting your merchandise, your goods, your services right now, and it's so easy to swipe instead of like taking the cash out of your wallet and seeing it go, and handing it over and have that kind of like loss experience. We see a lot of people overusing their credit card, buying purchases that are way too expensive than they normally would if they had to like, oh yeah, my savings account is totally depleted if I buy this. Well, with credit cards, you don't have that experience. So we see consumers making poor choices, primarily just because they're tempted by the ease of use of credit cards. Okay, but there are benefits. They are convenient. You don't need to carry a lot of cash with you. We talked about the immediate possession. You can have that item, that thing, that service. You can have it right now. Okay, you don't have to save up for it. Okay, like we used to. Um, you can generally get some things cheaper if you buy it right now and you're using credit rather than pay some fees for handling cash. The primary reason why a lot of people originally get credit cards is because in emergencies, it's pretty nice to have because if you're traveling, if you're somewhere and you don't want to carry a lot of cash with you, you always have your credit card, which is always like your backup in case something happens and you don't have a lot of money. So if you're nervous about traveling or something like that, and you don't want to carry a lot of cash with you, then credit cards are a pretty good option for that in case of emergencies. Okay. The other benefit of credit cards is that they establish a credit rating. Okay. This is a consumer's credit history, and it's also building up a reputation. Okay. So as you use the credit cards, if you're using it in small amounts and you're paying off your whole bill at a time, it's demonstrating responsibility and that you're trustworthy. And so this is actually going to help you in the long run acquiring future loans because you've created that track record. Okay. And then we're going to end there and talk about credit score next time.